Comic books are works of fiction, but that means literally anything can and does happen, leading to some absolutely wild stuff. Today on Top 10 Nerd, we're counting down the top 10 comic book moments nobody saw coming. Number 10. 3 Jokers. Thanks to Batman's time on the Mobius chair during DC's Darkseid War event, Bruce discovered that there are apparently 3 Jokers running around Gotham City. This led to the 3 Jokers story from 2020. 3 crimes were committed on the same night, seemingly all by the Joker. Alongside the Bat family, Batman discovers that these crimes were committed by the 3 different Jokers that he learned about. The original Golden Age Joker, known as the Criminal, the Killing Joke Joker, known as the Clown, and the Silver Age Joker, known as the Comedian. Jason Todd, Barbara Gordon, and Batman himself all team up to go after each Joker one at a time, and as you might expect, it doesn't nearly go that smoothly. This is one of the best Joker stories in recent years. It almost feels like it stands alone outside of any kind of continuity, and that's because it kind of really does. It's incredibly good and surprising and keeps you on your toes, and the revelation of 3 different Jokers was something a lot of people just never expected. But what I think is even better than the 3 Jokers is the chaotic feeling of not knowing if there were actually 3 or if there is a definitive Joker until the end of the story. Number 9. Infamous Iron Man. Of all the things to happen to the character of Dr. Doom, becoming the new Iron Man was not at all what I expected. After the events of Secret Wars and reality being brought back to normal, Victor Von Doom was kinda just unsatisfied with his life. He decided to switch his morality and try to serve and help others instead of being a power-seeking villain. Doom took on a bit of a mentor in Tony Stark, whom he'd always actually respected, but when Tony Stark was put into a coma, Doom decided to take his place as the infamous Iron Man, which was a great reason to give us a Dr. Doom in a highly advanced suit of Iron Man's Model Prime Mark 51 armor. The armor was retrofitted into Doom's style, going from the red and gold to the gray, green, and light blue of Dr. Doom, and it's probably my favorite look ever for an Iron Man armor, period. But alongside the capabilities of the Iron Man armor, Doom was still able to access his magical abilities. To make things even better, Doom's intellect and sorcery were near their peaks during this period in time, so he is truly an incredibly powerful hero. One of the ways Doom went about saving the world was using his knowledge of the criminal underworld from when he was a criminal to arrest a large gathering of villains in one big move. These villains were all gathered to figure out what they were going to do now that Dr. Doom has switched sides, and then Doom just busts through the roof and takes down heavy hitters like the Wizard, the Wrecking Crew, and the Hood and Jigsaw all in one go. It's awesome. Number 8. Dark Knight. Batman The Dark Knight Returns came to us originally as a way to give Batman/Bruce Wayne a fitting end, and it's easily one of the greatest Batman stories out there, with Frank Miller art that was actually understandable and a great tale that wrapped up the character of Batman in a lovely bow. But then Frank Miller went and created 2 sequels, and the first of which is basically a fever dream of insanity, overly objectified blocky cartoon women, and just really odd visuals, while also taking the character of Superman and completely misunderstanding and disrespecting him. But I think the most egregious moment came when Superman and the 3rd member of the Trinity, Wonder Woman, decided that they were going to hook up right after Batman beat the absolute snot out of the Man of Steel. Wonder Woman comes in to find Superman completely beaten and ranting about how it's all over, and then after punching him for being weak, I guess, they immediately just start making out, and then they fly up into the stratosphere and begin going at it mid-air. Then they slam into the ground, causing volcanic eruptions and earthquakes and tsunamis and hurricane-level winds, all for Wonder Woman to say that Superman had moved the earth for her. Wow, so cute. So poetic. And then she exclaims that she is now pregnant, and they decide to go and get a bite to eat. It's really weird. It's really weird. Number 7. Sins Past. Look, I hate talking about this as much as you hate hearing about it, but Marvel did it, and I don't think we should forget that. The passing of Gwen Stacy at the hands of the Green Goblin is one of the defining moments in Peter Parker's life, and it cemented Green Goblin as one of Peter's most ruthless foes. Then, Marvel and J. Michael Straczynski gave us the Sins Past Spider-Man story arc, and specifically Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, number 512. 2 twin assassins show up in New York on the trail of the Web-Slinger, and to cut to the chase, these twins were actually the secret children of Gwen Stacy and Norman Osborn. from when they had an affair, and their birth was suddenly revealed as the whole reason that Norman even took out Gwen in the first place. But the question is, how are these twins around the same age as Peter? Apparently, it's because of Norman's enhanced blood, which caused them to age quicker than normal. Basically, Marvel decided that ruining the image of Gwen Stacy and slightly devaluing her passing was worth it to create an extremely overcomplicated arc that goes nowhere and adds nothing but ickiness to the Spider-Man continuity, and then it got retconned. Number 6. Marriage. The wedding of Batman and Catwoman was a big deal. It was teased at and built up for a long time. Fans were genuinely excited to see it happen and to see what would come next after the fact. A kid of Selina Kyle and Bruce Wayne would be awesome. At least it would be awesome, but sadly, the wedding that was so coveted never came to be. Batman issue 50 came and went, and following suit, so did Catwoman. She came and went from Bruce, literally leaving the groom at the altar. Batman was marrying Catwoman so he could actually be happy. And after some convincing words from criminals like the Joker and her friend Holly, Catwoman believed that if Bruce Wayne was happy, then Batman couldn't be Batman. Which, one, that's just depressing, but two, both the Joker and Holly, alongside Riddler, Gotham Girl, Flashpoint, Thomas Wayne Batman, and other villains, were actually working for Bane, who was manipulating events in order to break Batman emotionally and give rise to the City of Bane event. It certainly sent Batman down a path of absolute despair. He became much more drastic with his fighting of criminals, particularly an innocent Mr. Freeze, and he even donned a less advanced version of his bat suit that he would just take more of a beating. It's just sad. Number 5. Spider-Man's black suit. Spider-Man's red and blue classic suit is extremely iconic, and I don't think anyone thinks that it's bad. The Sam Raimi version of that suit is beautiful, but the black spider suit that appeared in Secret Wars? Whew, that suit was something else. If you tell me that you don't like this one, you are a liar, and two, we cannot be friends. This suit was actually designed by a guy called Randy Schueller for a contest that Marvel had, and they paid him $220 for it. $220 for one of the most fan-beloved Spider-Man suits of all time. $220 for what would eventually become one of Spider-Man's greatest villains and eventually one of Marvel's most popular anti-heroes, Venom. It's the best investment that they ever made. The black symbiote suit was so great and so popular that Marvel even came up with excuses for Peter to get a regular cloth version of the suit made by his girlfriend, Black Cat. That was not a brain-consuming symbiote and just had the benefit of stealth, intimidation, and looking sexy. And at number 4 today is Bialia. Black Adam does not give a damn. The only things he has shown to care about are himself, his family, and his country. He has ripped someone in half as a warning to not mess with Kahndaq, which is his country. He has obliterated Psycho Pirate's face for manipulating his own mind, and he took on almost the entire superhuman community in the World War III event. But the whole catalyst for that last one was because he completely decimated the entire innocent population of the country of Bialia. The science squad of Oolong Island, it's a weird name, I know, created the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse for the express purpose of wiping out the Black Marvel family. Now, after the passing of Isis and Osiris, Black Adam's direct family, he hunted the 4 Horsemen of Apocalypse to take revenge. This brought him to the country of Bialia. Now, when he couldn't find the Horsemen, his rage and frustration got the better of him, and he essentially attacked the whole frickin' country. Adam's rampage ended countless innocent people's existences. It was easily his most terrible act, as they had done absolutely nothing wrong, and he was just blinded by cold hard rage. Number 3. Mar-Vell. Mar-Vell of the Kree was Marvel Comics' original Captain Marvel, and he was also the first Marvel superhero to permanently pass away when he succumbed to cancer in 1982's The Death of Captain Marvel. That was a huge moment in comic book lore, and he remains to be one of the only heroes to have passed away and not get resurrected. The character has reappeared as visions or in flashbacks and obviously in alternate realities, but he never came back really. One of the coolest and most unexpected ways he did reappear, however, was in the alternate universe which became known as the Cancerverse. It's just a really cool and creative idea. Basically, on his infamous deathbed, the Many-Angled Ones contact and corrupt the dying Mar-Vell, granting him new powers which he used to transmute the other heroes, and with Mar-Vell as their lord, they completely took down the Avatar of Death, which in turn completely destroyed Death itself, stopping people from ever actually passing away. This, in turn, allowed the Many-Angled Ones to invade this reality, and it became a nightmare. Number 2. Invincible Ultimatum. David Anders, aka Dinosaurus, appearing in the Invincible comic book series, is an interesting villain. While he does incredibly evil things, he is genuinely trying to save the world and the human race from climate change and the fact that we are destroying our own planet and resources. Following in the logic of the needs of the many outweighing the needs of the few, he has done some truly awful things, like destroying the entirety of Las Vegas. But still, Invincible saw the good in this villain, somehow, and he decided to team up with him anyways. Unfortunately, that was a mistake. From Invincible issue 98 to 100, we got an event called The Death of Everyone. Mark had been affected by the Scourge virus and had temporarily lost his powers. Because of this, Dinosaurus took things into his own hands, distracting Invincible and the other heroes with devices in Los Angeles that caused earthquakes. Meanwhile, his real plan was to detonate devices all over Greenland, melting ice and leading to a massive rise in sea level, wiping out thousands of people living in the world's coastal cities. This leads to a massive fight between Mark and Dinosaurus, during the climax of which Dino completely ends Mark by squishing his head till it pops. Now it turns out the person who Dinosaurus squished and ripped apart was actually a very convincing clone that he swapped out for Invincible mid-fight to make the world think that Mark was hard deleted from life. And finally, in at number 1 today is Marvel vs. DC. Marvel Comics and DC Comics have for a long time been the two biggest comic book companies that we have, but the 90s were a rough time for comics. To help fight abysmal sales, the two companies staged a crossover. When two entities known as the Brothers, the embodiments of both the Marvel and DC multiverses, remembered each other's existence due to some multiversal and reality-based tomfoolery, they pitted combatants from their respective realities together to decide who was better and who should be destroyed. This gave us the 1996 series called simply DC vs. Marvel. Heroes and villains across both universes ended up facing off. Storm faced off against Wonder Woman, Superman fought the Hulk, and for whatever reason, Robin faced off against the X-Men Jubilee. I don't know. DC vs. Marvel was shameless fan service, and no one cared because it was awesome. Sure, it wasn't particularly that well written or drawn, but whatever. As a solution to the conflict, the Living Tribunal from Marvel and the Spectre from DC joined forces and combined the two universes together, creating the Amalgam Universe. A universe that had its own unique history and was a combination of both DC and Marvel with mashed together characters like Darkclaw. A crossover like this hadn't happened before, and it probably won't ever happen again. But I, for one, am just glad that it happened at all. And that's all I got. I'm Adam Andrews, this is Top 10 Nerd. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the flippity flop, but until then, peace out and stay safe, nerds.